I guess this is my unofficial confession to the internet, because I can't say any of this to my family without breaking something we might never fix. I'm the middle child. That sentence will make sense later. I grew up in a house where silence was louder than yelling. My parents weren't the type to scream or throw things. They were the type who, when something bad happened, switched to a careful, overly calm tone and changed the subject. The kind of people who could go from talking about funerals to asking if you wanted more potatoes without blinking. There were three of us: my older brother, Adam, my younger sister, Lily, and me stuck in the middle like the slightly blurry photo between two framed portraits. For most of our lives, I thought we were normal, or at least standard, low-level dysfunctional. Dad worked a lot. Mom pretended not to be disappointed in everything. Adam was the golden child, smart, focused, doing everything right. Lily was the chaotic one, loud, creative, too emotional for our controlled household. And me? I was the observer, the one who watched, remembered, and tried to keep the peace. If you'd asked me a year ago what the worst thing my parents had ever done was, I'd probably say something like never saying sorry or never telling us they were proud. I didn't think of them as dangerous dash, just emotionally limited. All of that changed because of one letter, and because we never should have opened it. It started after our dad died. Heart attack. Sudden. No dramatic lead up. No long illness. Just a phone call from Mom while I was at work. "He's gone," she said, like she was telling me the weather. The doctors said there was nothing they could do. The weeks after that blurred together. Funeral arrangements. Relatives who crawled out of whatever caves they'd been hiding in to bring casseroles and say things like, "He's in a better place," as if any of them had a clue where he was. I think grief looks different on every person. On my mom, it looked like efficiency. She made lists, sorted clothes, called lawyers. She became a machine of tasks and paperwork. On us kids, well, kids, we're all adults now, but loss makes you feel 12 again. It looked messy. Adam went quieter than usual and started drinking a little more just to take the edge off. Lily cried hard for 3 days and then stopped completely, like someone flipped a switch. I felt nothing, just a strange, floating numbness, like I'd been disconnected from my own body. We didn't really talk about Dad. The most we got was he wouldn't want us to dwell for Mom, which was her favorite way of saying, I refused to feel anything in public. A week after the funeral, Mom decided it was time to go through his things. He would have wanted us to be practical, she said, standing in the doorway of their bedroom. We all gathered like it was a weird little ceremony. The air smelled like old cologne and dust. Dad's closet was still full, shirts neatly arranged, shoes lined up. There was something obscene about it, like walking into a room that hadn't heard the news yet. We started small. DS, belts, socks, then his desk. Dad's desk had always been off limits. When we were kids, if you so much as touched the drawer, he'd appear out of nowhere with a sharp, "Don't mess with my things." So of course that's where we gravitated now. Mom opened the top drawer, which was full of pens, receipts, and the fossilized remains of paper clips. The second drawer had old manuals, phone bills, and those weird warranty cards no one really fills out. The third drawer was locked. Mom frowned. "That's odd. Maybe it's just jammed," Adam said, tugging at it. It didn't budge. Lily looked at me. "You thinking what I'm thinking? That this is a side quest?" I muttered. She snorted, then turned to Mom. "Do you have a key?" Mom pressed her lips together, thinking. Then she went to the wardrobe, reached up, and pulled down an old tin box. Inside were coins, a watch, and a small brass key. Of course he kept it. The key slid into the lock with a soft click. Mom hesitated, hand on the handle. For a second, all of us just stood there. Then she pulled the drawer open. Inside were folders, neatly labeled: taxes, insurance, house, legal. Pretty on brand. Underneath those, though, lay a small stack of envelopes tied with string, and one manila envelope with our last name written on it. Ward. Note to my family. Note to be opened after I die. Just our name. Mom reached for it. I don't know why, but something in me lurched. My hand shot out. "Wait." She froze. "What?" Maybe I swallowed. "Maybe we should, I don't know, open it together?" Sitting down, Adam rolled his eyes. "It's not a bomb." "You don't know that," Lily muttered. Mom sighed. Fine. Let's go to the kitchen. We sat around the table like we were about to play some weird family board game. The envelope sat in the middle. No one moved. Finally, Mom picked it up. She slid her finger under the flap and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. Her eyes scanned the first line. Her expression changed. Just slightly, but enough. The color drained out her face. She made a small, choked sound and then, to my complete shock, stood up abruptly and walked out of the room with the paper in her hand. Mom, Lily called, half standing. Mom, no answer. We heard the bathroom door shut. The lock click. Silence. Adam Fronit. What the hell was that? The envelope was still on the table. Empty now. I reached over and picked it up. Something rustled inside. Not paper. Thin. Glossy. I tilted it. A photograph slid out. My stomach twisted. It was a picture of my parents. Younger. Maybe late 20s. Younger than I am now. They were standing in front of a brick building I didn't recognize. Mom was holding a baby. Not Adam. Not me. Not Lily. The baby in the photo wore a yellow hat and had a tiny fist gripping Mom's shirt. Dad was looking at the camera, smiling in a way I had never seen in real life. Soft and open, no tension in his jaw. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, were 3 words. Our first child. The room tilted. Adam took the photo from my hand and stared at it. Lily whispered, "What the?" We all looked at each other, 3 kids staring at proof of a fourth we had never known existed. I heard the bathroom door open. Mom came back into the kitchen. Her face was composed again, but her eyes were red in a way that had nothing to do with allergies. She saw the photo in Adam's hand and closed her eyes briefly, like a headache had just pierced her skull. Mom, Adam said carefully, "What is this?" She sat down slowly. Her hands trembled as she reached for the table, but she kept her voice flat. "Something your father never wanted you to know," she said. A cold weight settled into my chest. Lily leaned forward. "We had another sibling?" Mom flinched at the word had. "Yes," she said quietly. "Who?" I asked. Her eyes flicked to mine, then away. Her name was Emma. That name rang in my head like a bell. Emma. Our first child. The oldest. The one we'd never heard of. What happened to her? Lily asked. Mom stared down at her hands. I watched the muscle in her jaw twitch. "She died," she said finally. The word hung there, heavy and incomplete. There are a lot of ways to say someone has died. Passed away. We lost her. She's gone. Mom chose the bluntest one, like ripping off a bandage with no warning. Adam Fronit. Why didn't you ever tell us? Mom's fingers closed around the edge of the table, so tightly her knuckles went white. "Because your father insisted," she said. "He thought it would complicate things. He wanted you to grow up without carrying that grief. He said there was no point in dwelling on what we can't change." You agreed? I asked quietly. She flinched again. I went along with it at first. And then later, I didn't know how to go back. How do you suddenly bring up a dead child at the dinner table after 10 years? Pass the salt. And by the way, you had a sister? Lily placed both hands over her mouth. How old was she? Lily whispered. 8, Mom said. My heart stopped. 8, I repeated. She lived 8 years. And we never knew. A flash of anger surged through me. It surprised even me how hot it burned. Adam's voice was cold. How did she die? Mom didn't answer immediately. Her silence was worse than any word. Mom, he pressed. She swallowed. Her eyes were glossy now in a way that made her look like a stranger. There was an accident, she said. Your father blamed himself. He couldn't live with the guilt. So he made a choice. What kind of accident? I asked. She shook her head, slow and small. I can't do this right now. Mom. I said I can't, she snapped, then exhaled, pressing her fingers to her temples. I'll tell you, just not today. Please. Lily made a small, wounded sound. But we had a sister, and you just decided we didn't need to know? You did not need to carry that pain, Mom said sharply. Children don't need that kind of weight. I almost laughed. We have the weight now, just with extra confusion. She looked at me with a mixture of anger and sorrow. You were all so happy, she said. After, when things settled, I didn't want to break that. Your father didn't either. Funny, Adam said under his breath. He didn't mind breaking you. Enough, Mom snapped. The air was thick. Lily stood so quickly her chair scraped the floor. I need some air, she muttered, and left, the back door slamming behind her. Adam exhaled and rubbed his face with both hands. Is there more? He asked. Mom hesitated. There are letters, she admitted. From that time. They're for me, not for you. Adam looked at me, then at the drawer, then at her. We're adults, Mom, he said quietly. We deserve to know. Her lips pressed together. Not everything is better when it's shared. She stood, picked up the manila envelope the letter had been in, and walked back toward the bedroom. The conversation, as far as she was concerned, was over. That night, none of us slept. Adam stayed late, arguing with Mom in low voices behind the bedroom door. Lily sat on the back steps, smoking silently, something she only did when she felt truly unmoored. I lay awake on the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining a girl in a yellow hat who should have been in all our family photos, but wasn't. A missing shape, an erased name, a gap in our family history where a person should have been. Middle child. I'd always thought that was me. Turns out I was wrong. I was the second, and there had been a first. The next morning, Adam knocked on my door. You up? He asked. Clearly. He sat on the edge of the bed, running a hand through his hair. Mom's not going to tell us everything, he said. You know that, right? Yeah. She thinks she's protecting us, or protecting herself, or Dad's memory, or whatever. I stared at the wall. So what do? We were quiet for a moment. Then he said something I didn't expect. We find out anyway. I turned to look at him. He shrugged. If Dad kept a letter like that, there might be more. And if Mom won't let us see them, we look without her. You mean Snoop? I said. Yes, he said flatly. I mean Snoop. I was the observer, the one who usually kept the peace, not stirred it up. But there was a knot in my chest now that wouldn't untangle. I'm in, I said. We waited until Mom went out. She announced she was going to the lawyer's office to finalize some paperwork. I'll be gone a few hours, she said. Try not to tear the house apart while I'm gone. Too late, I thought. The moment her car disappeared down the street, Adam and I went straight to Dad's desk. The locked drawer was still open from the day before. The stack of envelopes tied with string was still there. Mom had taken the letter and whatever else had been inside the manila folder, but she'd left the others. Do we? I trailed off. Adam answered by picking up the stack and setting it on the table. They were old, yellowed at the edges. Each one had a date written on the front in Dad's handwriting. All of them clustered within a few months of each other. Lily walked in the back door halfway through our archaeological dig. What are we doing? She asked, though her tone said she already knew. Being terrible children, Adam said. I'm in, she replied, dropping into a chair. We untied the string. The first envelope was dated 3 years before I was born. Adam slid the letter out carefully. He read it silently, his eyes moving faster and faster. His mouth twitched. Then he set it down without saying a word. Read it aloud, Lily said. He hesitated. Adam. He sighed and picked it up again. Dear Margaret, he read, using Mom's full name in a way Dad never had when we were around. I know you don't want to talk about it. I know you think pretending nothing happened will make it easier. But I can't breathe under the weight of what we're not saying. My throat tightened. I see her everywhere, he continued. Every time I turn on the TV, every time I pass a playground, every time I walk past the door to her room, I hear her voice. I see her hand slipping out of mine. I see the road, the headlights, the sound of the brakes. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. You keep telling me it wasn't my fault, Adam read, voice cracking slightly, but I know what I did. I let go. I let go when she ran. I shouted and she laughed, and then she was gone and I was too slow. I am her father. I am supposed to protect her. And I fail. My eyes blurred. I don't know how to be a father to anyone else now, Adam read. Every time I look at Adam, I see what I lost. Every time I think about having another child, I feel like I'm signing their death warrant. I don't deserve another chance. I don't deserve forgiveness. He swallowed hard. But I don't know how to live like this either, he finished softly. Yours always, Michael. The silence after that was suffocating. Lily was crying quietly. Adam's jaw was clenched so tight, I thought his teeth might crack. I just sat there, staring at the words that had turned my father from a distant, controlled figure into a broken man I'd never met. He was driving, Lily whispered. She ran into the road. He couldn't stop in time. I pictured it. A little girl slipping her hand out of his. Running. Laughing. Headlights. Tires. The sound of impact. Dad, who had always driven like an old man, never speeding, never taking risks. Dad, who always double-checked that our seatbelts were on. I suddenly understood why. We went through more letters. Some were short. Some were half-filled pages. Some were apologies. Some were angry. A few were just lists of things he remembered about her. The way she said certain words wrong. The way she refused to sleep without her yellow hat. The way she hated thunderstorms but loved the sound of trains at night. Emma, our first child. At the bottom of the stack was one last envelope. No date, no name, just a single word written across the front. If. Adam Fronit. That's different. Open it, Lily said. He did. There was no salutation this time. No dir Margaret. No Jors, Michael. The letter was short. If we have another son, he had written, I don't know if I will ever be able to look at him without fearing I will break him too. If we have another daughter, I fear I will turn her into a ghost of the one I lost. If we have more children, they will grow up in the shadow of someone who never got the chance. Is it kinder to let them exist in ignorance? Or is that its own cruelty? My heart stuttered. I don't know the answer, the letter continued. But if I choose wrong, I fear they will hate me for it. Maybe they should. Lily wiped her face. I realized my hands were shaking. We sat there for a long time, surrounded by pieces of a life we'd never been given access to. A lot of this isn't Mom's fault, I said eventually. Adam looked at me. He made the choice. Yeah, but she lived with it. With him. With all of this. With us. Lily sniffed. So what now? We just go back to pretending we didn't know. No, Adam said. We can't unknow this. But we don't know everything either, I said. We only have his version. His guilt. Not the whole story. Lily stood abruptly. I want to see her room. We all froze. What? Adam said. Her room, Lily repeated. If she existed, then she had a room. Where is it? What do they do with it? We grew up in this house. There are only 3 bedrooms upstairs. So where did she sleep? The question hung in the air like smoke. We looked at each other. Then we went upstairs. Our childhood home suddenly felt smaller, claustrophobic. We passed Adam's old room, then mine, then Lily's. 3 doors. 3 kids who knew they were not the whole story. Maybe they turned it into something else, I said weakly. An office. Storage. Something. At what point? Lily asked. Before or after I was born. Before they decided I could exist without knowing. The hallway ended at a blank wall. We stood there, 3 grown children facing drywall like it was an accusation. There's nothing, Adam said. Maybe they moved after she died. Maybe this isn't the same house. No, I said quietly. It is. I'd seen the address on the back of one of the older letters. Same street. Same number. Lily's eyes narrowed. Move, she said. She pressed her hands against the wall and ran them slowly along the surface. Halfway across, she stopped. Here, she whispered. Listen. She knocked. It didn't sound hollow, but it didn't sound solid either. Adam fetched a flashlight. I found a small seam, barely visible, where the wallpaper didn't quite match. A hairline crack in the paint. Holy shit, Lily breathed. Is that? A door, I said. A hidden door. An old handle had been removed, leaving only a faint indentation. Someone had plastered over it, sanded it down, painted, papered, like they were trying to erase something from existence. Like they had tried to erase a whole person. Emma, our first child. I stepped back, heart pounding. What do we do? I asked. Adam was staring at the wall like it might open on its own. Lily already had her fingers in the seam, try to pry it loose. We can't just break it, I said. Mom will. Mom hid a dead daughter from us for decades. Lily snapped, eyes bright with tears and fury. I think we're past worrying about paint. She dug her nails in and pulled. A strip of wallpaper ripped free, exposing the outline of an old door frame. Underneath, in the wood, something was carved. Not deep, not professional, childish. 3 letters. EMA. The second M was missing or maybe never finished. Lily pressed her forehead to the wood and exhaled shakily. Adam closed his eyes. I felt like the house was holding its breath. Behind that door was whatever was left of Emma's room. Maybe nothing. Maybe dusty furniture. Maybe just an empty space. Maybe something else. Something we didn't understand. I reached up, fingers brushing the faint carving. We had a sister. We had a sister. We had always had a sister. We were just never allowed to know. Footsteps sounded downstairs. The front door. Mom. We all jerked away from a wall instinctively, like children caught stealing cookies. Her voice floated up the stairs. Kids? Are you here? Kids. Like you were 10 again. Like nothing had changed. We looked at each other. Lily's hand still rested against the outline of the door. Adam's jaw was clenched. My heart felt like it was trying to rip out of my chest. Mom started up the stairs. We found the letters, Adam called out before I could stop him. His voice shook, but he kept going. And we know about Emma. Her footsteps faltered. Silence. Then, very quietly, you opened a drawer. It wasn't a question. She appeared at the top of the stairs, eyes moving from our faces to the torn wallpaper to the faint carved letters in the wood. Something inside her seemed to collapse. She reached for the wall to steady herself. Oh, she breathed. For the first time in my life, I saw her look small. We stood there, for people in a hallway that suddenly felt crowded with someone who wasn't physically there. No one spoke. Finally, Mom wiped at her eyes. I was going to tell you, she whispered. When? Lily demanded. At whose funeral? Yours or ours? Mom flinched. I didn't say anything. Adam didn't either. We just watched her. She looked at the hidden door, at the carved letters, at us. I try to forget, she said. Your father tried too. We sealed the room. We boxed everything. We told ourselves it was kinder to move forward. But forgetting isn't the same as healing. I see that now. Why her room? I asked. My voice sounded small. Why did you have to erase it? Because I couldn't walk past it every day, she said simply. Because every time I did, I heard her laughing, crying, singing. I smelled her shampoo. I saw her empty bed. I'm not as strong as you always thought I was. Her voice cracked on the last word. We were quiet. I realized then that for all the things she'd hidden, she was a person drowning in her own grief. She had done what frightened, wounded people do, buried the body, and hoped the ground would never crack open. It cracked anyway. Can we open it? Lily asked, voice softer now. Mom stared at the door. I don't know what's left, she murmured. We cleared most of it. I think. A humorless little laugh. I've avoided this wall for so long, I stopped seeing it. She looked at me. You were always the observant one, she said. I'm surprised you never noticed. I think, I said slowly, that at some point, I chose not to. She held my gaze for a long moment. Maybe we all did, she said. She took a shaky breath. Not today, she whispered. Please. I'm not ready. The three of us didn't move. Then Adam nodded once. Okay, he said. Lily stared at him in disbelief. Okay, that's it. For now, he said. We're not going to break it open with our bare hands while she's having a breakdown in the hallway. We deserve answers, Lily shot back. We do, I said quietly. But we'll still deserve them tomorrow. She glared at both of us, then looked at Mom. The anger in her face melted into something more fragile. You should have trusted us, she said, voice shaking. We could have carried this with you. Mom's eyes filled again. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry. The words sounded foreign coming from her mouth, but real, so painfully real. Lily wiped her cheeks. When? She asked. When do we open it? Mom looked at the door, at the carved letters. At us. When I can walk past this wall without wanting to disappear, she said. When I can say her name without feeling like I'm betraying the life you did have. She paused. And when you're ready to see what I couldn't bear to keep. We stood there for a long time. For people. One door. And a girl whose absence filled the space like air. Later that night, after everyone went to bed, I went back into the hallway alone. The torn wallpaper fluttered slightly in the draft. I pressed my hand flat against the hidden door. On the other side was a room that didn't exist, and a sister I'd never meet, and answers I wasn't sure I wanted. I thought about Dad's letter. If I choose wrong, I fear they will hate me for it. Maybe he had chosen wrong. Maybe Mom had too. Maybe we were all still choosing wrong in different ways. Maybe there wasn't a right choice at all. I slid my fingers along the carved letters. Emia. Almost a name. Almost remembered. Almost spoken out loud. I leaned my forehead against the wood and whispered, barely audible, "I know you were here." No one answered. Behind me, the house creaked. Somewhere in the distance, a train passed, its low rumble traveling through the night. I don't know if we'll ever open that door. I don't know what we'll find if we do. I don't know if knowing will heal us or break us more. All I know is this. We thought our family story had 3 children. We were wrong. And now, whether we open that door or not, we'll never be able to look at that wall and at each other the same way again.